That was fun, and now we'd like to move in and talk to Dr. Petteri Teikari.
Yes. Would you like to give a short introduction?
Good afternoon,
Yes,
sir. This man is doing such advanced stuff that if things have been beyond us so far,
right.
this time I think, I mean, I'm not even gonna. There is no point in even trying to blag anything.
I'm gonna call.
Is
call someone to bring out a defibrillator.
PhD in neuroscience, and we're very glad that you could come and join us. And
it's nice to be here.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your background? So, you are you have a PhD in neuroscience.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So that means that I did visual neuroscience.
Can you speak closer to that?
Okay. Visual neuroscience, so how the retina processes information, basically. And that can used to be like clinical diagnosis of your retinal diseases. And as when the retina is part of your brain, so then your brain changes can be reflected in your retinal health. So basically you could diagnose Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, psychiatric diseases, and some sort of neurological diseases from the eye. So it's kind of useful tool because you don't have to do brain imaging to access some sort of information of your health.
Literally through the eye?
Retina.
Yeah, so it's the back of the eye. So that's the sensory part of your, because that's part of the brain anyway. So I mean, this part in the front is kind of dumb tissue. So it's in the back. So I mean, otherwise your brain wouldn't be able to interpret anything. So.
Right, that makes sense. This is the first thing I'm learning. I'm learning already. So the retina is part of your brain.
Yeah. So it's developed together. That's the rest of your brain. So it's your nervous system. So.
That's the first.
Yep.
So your eyes is a mirror of your soul.
Yeah, literally.
We now have a scientific.
I'm gone now. All right,
Goodbye. See you. Take care.
Yeah.
So your eyes are okay, right? But yesterday we were speaking to William von der Palen, and he was kind of talking a little bit about, and we were talking about the aura ring, and what was that term again?
Circadian rhythms.
Circadian rhythms.
Yes,
Do you know what that means?
Sleep cycle, basically.
Sleep cycle. Yeah.
Is it not exactly, but I mean sort of.
Yeah, the circadian rhythm is kind of
listen to me.
Yeah, it's kind of the intrinsic rhythm that is generated by your brain. So, that gives you timing, but like a sleep-wake cycle. So, depends how many components you want to do. So, you could do homeostatic, the wakeful part, homeostatic, and then when you're doing the night part. So you could model it with the 3 parts, basically. That's normal.
Okay, what is the relevant difference between a wake-sleep cycle and the circadian rhythm? What is that?
So the circadian component is the intrinsic, but then that only drives like what's the cycle, basically.
Right, the hormonal
but if you're
cycle.
Well, it's not really a hormonal cycle.
Okay, I'm just gonna shut up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay. But you would say like.
Don't say words just because they come into your mind.
So I mean, yeah, but then it depends. Like if you're doing a lot of sports, so of course you can get a lot more tired.
Yeah.
And depending like how do you sleep, so it depends how you recover.
Right.
So it's not just the time, so it's the sleep architecture. So what kind of sleep stages are you hitting? So.
Yeah. And can you help us a little bit understand why we're feeling exceptionally tired when we're been in this environment, which is kind of dark all the time? Is that related to?
Yeah, so there's the acute part. So if you're stimulating someone during the day with a very bright light, so the effect to the circadian rhythms can be minimal, but you're alerted at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that why my phone has the blue light filter?
Well, the blue light filter is, if you're doing evening, so that phase shifts your circadian oscillator that's inside your brain.
Okay.
And there's a weird thing, like a circadian drive for alertness is the highest just before you go to sleep, actually. So there's a wake maintenance zone.
Highest?
Yeah, so like it kind of compensates for the sleepiness that you kind of accumulate during the day.
Okay.
So there's a thing called wake maintenance zone. So let's say if you normally go to 10 p.m. to bed, but then you feel really tired at 8 p.m. So you might still feel like it's really hard to fall asleep, even though you feel very asleep. So that kind of counteracts with the sleepiness.
And there is some recent scientific discovery that has enabled this entire kind of feel. Like, I mean,
well,
I
there's
know
like a more hype, so I would say. So
there is a hype now, but I remember that you said something that when you started doing your PhD and
that was discovered 2002.
What was?
That there's a third kind of photoreceptor in every eye, every
Right.
organism. Oh, not really every organism, but like mammals, so including humans. So.
And this is this oscillator.
No, that's just the photoreceptor. So
Okay.
you have day vision, which is cone, so you can see colors. Night
Right.
vision, so
Yeah.
when it's very dim.
Yeah.
That's the two types that have been around for 150 years.
And that we know about.
Yeah. And then like people thought that okay, we know everything about now.
Yeah.
And then the third type came. And then you realized, okay, that's related also to circadian rhythms.
Okay.
And especially in Nordic countries, you have seasonal depression. So that's been linked to that. So it's all under like the same part. So
We're not going to pretend that we're going to be able to follow this now,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
we?
No. But I mean, what is the? I'm not saying it isn't, but why is this interesting for regular people to know? Especially you mentioned the seasonal depression, which is something.
well, it kind of validates if someone wants to use bright lights.
Right.
So there's a science behind it.
Yeah.
But then there's a hype, like you have this ear light was at some point in Finland.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Valossa. No, not Valossa, Valke.
Valke.
It came from Oulu, so they put the earplugs with a light, LED on it.
Yeah.
And they were asking 300 euros for them, which is basically earbuds just with lights, with nothing else functionality.
Are they still running?
I think so. I think they rebranded.
Is that crap?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the rationale that you can find the same photopigment in the brain, so it must do something. So the photopigment part is probably true, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it signals something.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of photopigments, like they found it from human testes as well. So you have testicular photopigments as well.
Good thing we have culture as well, so
Yeah.
that can overcompensate for
Yeah.
for the hard scientific
Yeah.
wiring.
Yeah.
Have you read any Zizek? No. What do you think about this year's Slush? What are your
Well, this
impressions?
was only my second time, so it's hard to compare. So, but I like that there's the Slush and Science, so that was more for me.
Yes.
So that there was,
How
a like.
that? Was
I
there
think
any new hopeful innovations?
I'm not saying necessarily hopeful innovation, but I like the approach because like academic kind of community is very hostile towards entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of kind of guys that tried to promote it, like it's a viable option. So you don't just have to publish some stuff to papers that no one actually
And in
reads
some
about.
sense, vice versa. Even I feel
Yeah.
like in some sense, and it's great that this bridge is being sort of bridged. I guess.
Yeah.
I think almost I
For
would
us?
say that it should be obligatory in some like you
Yeah.
Finnish universities, like one
Absolutely.
study point or something. So,
So-
at least you have an idea.
But I don't know this. So what is the example of there being kind of a bridge between academics and entrepreneurship?
Well, they were talking about the Spark program that started in Stanford.
Yeah.
So there was guys like Stanford, they were trying to do maybe a cancer drug, I'm not sure. And then they tried to like, I want to license it out of Stanford. And Stanford was like, I don't really know. So they just left academia and they did their business outside Stanford.
Yeah.
And they now like, I think it's in Aalto, at least the program now.
Yeah.
I think it was 5 Finnish universities, the Spark program, so I didn't know about that. So it seems like it's kind of this personal growth in a way,
Yeah.
like just getting introduced to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very psychological, the problem. Because I used to be like that when in academia, so I was like I don't want to do business, I want to do academia.
Yeah.
It's like bullshit.
Dirty capitalist
business.
pigs, basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's all useless, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of that here as well.
Well, we happen to be part of a business school, and
Yeah.
that's just defined by.
Yeah. No,
Well,
I mean, I'm not
but that's
against
not even true
business,
there,
yeah.
actually.
No, it's
But I
not really the
understand what you're
problem
saying, 'cause
business.
I was like that.
Yeah.
Because I've been studying at the University of Helsinki for 4 years now, and
Yeah.
I would have never thought that I ever would have applied.
Feel
to
like a
Hanken.
sellout and
Yeah.
so on.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Feel like a sellout. Feel like you're, I'm not gonna give up my life for this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like exactly. But I mean, no one. I've noticed one thing. No one laughs more at the stereotype of the dirty capitalist pig more than people at Hanken. I mean,
yeah.
I've noticed that. I mean, there's so much self-irony when it comes to that. Because everyone realizes it's a stereotype. Everyone
Yeah.
realizes.
Right.
It's more about the. People are noticing that in such a fast-changing world, going through this old.
Well, to be
dusty
fair,
bureaucracy-
we should say that. I mean, it's not all like that. There is a point to academia being
Yeah, I think,
utterly
like-
independent. I mean, I remember
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
the sign above the Humboldt University in Berlin, I think, still reads Freiheit zur Forschung, freedom for research.
Yes.
And once it becomes compromised, or even there is an admonition or an imperative towards being, for example, applied or relevant or impactful, then you foreclose academic research which otherwise wouldn't have taken place. I mean, the first thing that happens, especially in England, which is a good example, that once the economy becomes a bit tightened, they start closing departments such as philosophy because they don't have an immediate impact on the economy.
Monetary impact.
And that is a dangerous path to go down. So I want to kind of save one.
Yeah, it's this metric.
The importance of academia,
metric
nonetheless.
fetishism, basically. Again, that's the best way I can put it. Basically, if anything is valuable, they can measure it in an Excel sheet, basically, and that is a very toxic mindset for the long-term future of humanity. Basically.
Now, I don't want to say that I'm against basic science, so I think there's a part of that, but it's just like a lot of scientific people are not open to the idea of doing entrepreneurial activities at all. So I think that's a huge problem.
So if you were a Slush emperor or Slush king, which you probably are at some level, what would you do? What would be an exciting path that you would sort of begin paving?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because I'm not totally sure who is this audience, like who is this event actually focused for. Because when you go to the big stages, you feel like everything is very high level.
Yeah.
So you don't really learn much.
Yeah.
So then at the same time, it's very cool if you don't know much.
Yeah.
So
now you
then
know
you'll be
how
like,
we felt at the beginning of this.
What?
No idea. We're too stupid. Basically, what I'm trying to say.
No, but like all the entrepreneurial stuff is very basic, and then you talk about like how to validate and how to find customers, and like this is like okay, marketing, social marketing. It's good if you don't know anything.
Yeah.
But I think like people who have been doing this for a while, it could be nice that you have actually kind of something that you learn from. So it could be that you have like small satellite events more that you could tailor for 20 people or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was kind of lacking in my experience from here.
Okay.
And I heard from some people who had been here more said that it's too corporate now, so I'm not sure if that's the
that's
case.
interesting because the startup culture in its core, as it started, was always outsider culture.
Yeah.
But this is sort of magnified to become sort of an insider-outsider culture, which is very like Flow Festival. Basically, it started out as the hipster, different. I'm a different kind of person sort of festival, and now it's the biggest festival in Finland, basically.
Yeah, and like now you said like the aesthetics of capitalism. So I feel like if you take a big corporation, so they just maybe throw a beanbag or put like a pink sign and say like we're cool now. So if you're like this cool startup kid, so you should apply for us.
Yeah, then it becomes something that we've learned today from Lisa Velikangas. What did she say? She said
commodification.
No, but she said, what was it?
I think she used the term commodification because I use that term in a
strategy commodification.
Right, yeah.
Strategic commodification. When kind of there is a standardized pitch.
When breaking the mold becomes mainstream.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
so
that's
then that
true,
becomes
like
a hygiene factor you have to do, but it's not competitive anymore.
Yeah.
But still, it's great. I don't know.
But then at least like someone wants to differentiate. So like it's like the old dinosaurs become dinosaurs, and then something new emerges.
It's always like that. It's constant evolution.
How about you, Isak? What would you, Slush King? Truly, what would you make sure was on the agenda? What would be?
I think it's big enough right now. I think it's definitely big enough.
Is there a theme or a topic that you'd focus on?
I do like the cross-disciplinary approach that has been happening recently. You mentioned science, and then also the arts, / music that happened before this whole thing, incorporating all different kinds of... we actually talked about this with, I forget who it was. I think it was actually Lisa when we talked about this, what's also happening in academia, is sort of this what I presented as the counteraction towards this extreme specialization within academia, that they're actually starting to branch together again. They're starting to learn from each other, and I think that would be a huge strength of Slush if they actually went in that direction. That's actually in the direction I think the Finnish education system should go. The university system. You shouldn't be forced to pick your major before if you've even been at one single course. The first year of university, at least, if we assume this system, this classic system of 3 years bachelor's, 2 years master's, first year should absolutely be this year of exploration, learning all kinds of different stuff: hard science, soft science, social science, economics, arts even. I think that is the approach this Slush should take. I think that's the approach the world should take.
Yeah.
But if this like originates from Aalto University, I think that's like the official strategy of Aalto anyway.
Yeah.
Because they now fuse the economists with the designers.
Right.
So they try to promote this kind of collision space thinking.
And I think that's great. So
and now they're forcing all the designers and economists to move to Otaniemi.
Yeah.
And then you would have to kind of create some kind of synergy.
Yeah.
Because I think intrinsically people do not like each other. Those groups.
Right. Yeah.
Designers especially, they don't like the other ones.
So let's make them forced to like each other. Yeah.
But I mean, that's the only way, I think, to make them come together.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they separate.
To precisely answer your question, I would immediately surrender my position as the head of Slush and get some
Who
more
would you give it to?
You.
All right.
What would you do?
You're a wise Swedish person.
Well, don't ask me, I'd say.
But what do you like about Slush? So what is the approach that they should be?
I agree with him that I think it's like a techno scene, just missing the music. But we've got yet to experience that because I'm a big kind of techno fan.
I wouldn't hold my breath for that though.
I wouldn't either. It's gonna be a bit hip hoppy.
No, Ken's great.
But sorry.
Last year it was Antti Tuisku
Yeah.
and Darut.
Really?
Yeah.
This year is this is young Finnish rapper. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's the only one I know actually. Anyway, you were gonna say.
I think that what the startup community that used to call itself the new media community has failed at doing is to actually deliver a proper new media. They have failed. I haven't seen one company here that does something interesting in this media space, delivering something that is of substance. And aside from us, of course. But this is not exactly a company as such, we're just reporting. I think that there is much to be done there. I think TED is interesting, but I don't think it's rigorous enough. I think that public service reinvented would be a very important and very interesting field and theme to think seriously about. Reintroducing public debate. I don't want to go back to monkey states. I still think that the world requires rigorous thought,
challenging thought,
and also a discipline in terms of learning. And I also think that you can do very interesting things with the channels that have been established and built in the past 2 decades, but very little has been done, at least not sufficiently has been done at filling them with proper substance. I'm allergic to the content term because it always the prerequisite is the container, the vessel. I want to flip it around and start with substance.
You get this picture of the informational tube.
Yes, it's like it's a conduit. Yeah. It's a conduit model of knowledge or information.
Well, it seems like the Nordic kind of ecosystem is slightly lagging behind the rest of the world. So it seems like there's less substance in Slush compared to, let's say, what happened in London, for example. And I think Silicon Valley is a totally different story.
In London, what happened there?
No, I mean, you seem like you have companies at least that have more substance, a lot more, because there's like a strong university presence there.
Okay.
So that's what I get like when I'm now living
Maybe
in
I meant
London.
media substance.
Oh, okay, media
specifically.
Substance, okay. I thought like you meant substance in startups.
I think you've been...
Critique proper is something that academe knows, and it doesn't shy away from it.
Yeah.
And it feels like, for example, TED, that they do shy away from it, or just not interested in the first place, like exploring an issue. What is a philosopher? Is someone that just takes an issue and holds on to it through thick and thin until he's done. And I don't see that in the media landscape.
Okay, yeah, that's very true. So it's very like a yes manny, if you just say so.
It's a bit yesy.
Yes, man.
It's a what? Yes.
You know the film Yes Man?
Yeah, no.
They came to Finland, so I mean, they had a wearing this golden suit.
Yeah.
And then he was just a lot of bullshit, and then all the Finnish people like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. And no one like stood up and said this is bullshit. It was really annoying for Finnish people. Very humiliating.
The emperor's new clothes.
Yeah, I think it's like feels years. Like everyone says, oh, it's interesting, it's nice. No one says like, because I, at least from academia, I've like accustomed that you're gonna give critique. If you send a journal article to a journal, they will give you feedback, and you like, if you're really like sensitive, so you could be like, oh, why did you say so nasty things about me? Because this was my child.
Yeah, but so what? That's academics, if they're properly trained, they know that you're soft on people and hard on ideas.
Yeah,
it's
but
not,
that should be
it's
the
not
same.
ad hominem.
Yeah, but that should be in the same sort of
ideas
space.
happen.
Yes, I agree with you.
It is this fallacy, like it's not a fallacy, but it's a paradox, because if we think about what defines a self, what defines a person, it is our ideas, but the ideas that are, I think, the most strongly held should be, we should have the ability to separate those ideas from our identity, as it were, in discussions. In discussions, we should be able to sort of talk about.
It's not all
ideas
personal.
It's not all personal.
Yeah, but like at least in academia, you kind of adopt this mindset that you always have something to improve.
Right.
And
well,
I get this feeling like outside academia, people take it very personally if you say something critical, and they're like, "Oh, why did you say that to me? My startup is the best." Yeah. Even though, like, especially in a small kind of ecosystem, you should be able to critique so you get better startups out.
Yeah. Don't worry, we've got plans for this.
Okay.
But
thank you.
But thank you so much. We've had 20 people come and talk to us. Exceptionally interesting people like yourself.
I'm gonna stay quiet for the whole after party. I'm just gonna sit.
I'm just I don't even know if I'm going. But more noise. No, I've had a really good time. Thank you so much, Isak.
So
and Petteri, thank you so much for the grand finale.
Thank you.
That was the grand finale.
The ultimate. You've been using the word penultimate for all this time, and finally we had the ultimate.
The ultimate, Petteri.
The seduction. Yeah.
So
thank you, everyone.
So
bye-bye.
thank you so much.
I'm not even gonna bother.
See you next year.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.